While you're busy relaxing on the weekend, entertaining, boating, stomping, and chomping, there's a whole fleet of people working in factories pumping out everything from bacon to barbecues, so you can sit back and enjoy the weekend. The science of manufacturing these items has evolved over time. What are some of the technologies that go into making the goods? For many of us, being out on the water is when the weekend starts. Whipping around the lake in the latest speedboat is possible because of modern fiberglass technology. Campion Marine in Kelowna, British Columbia, has been in the boat-making business since 1974.
40 years ago, a typical boat was mostly made out of wood. They're extremely high maintenance. Often they leak. Often they require a lot of day-to-day care, whereas the fiberglass boat gives you a much simpler boat, very strong product. Back in the early 60s, fiberglass was really a revolutionary product, and many things started being made out of it. Bathtubs, Corvettes, all sorts of things.
On a matched weight test, fiberglass is stronger than steel. Its durability and lightness, as well as the fact that it can be easily shaped in a mold, makes it the perfect material for a boat.
What a lot of people don't realize is a boat is actually built from the outside to the inside.
All of the parts to a fiberglass boat begin as an empty mold. The hull, deck, and all the smaller parts each have their own mold. But before any of the boat building can begin, the molds are waxed.
Very important to put this wax on properly, because if you don't, you won't get the part to release from the mold.
To make sure no part is missed, Campion requires 8 layers of wax to be put on by hand. Since the boat is being built from the outside in, the first step to the process is taping the design onto the mold. Campion Marine's champion taper, Jeff, marks off the boat's design with masking tape.
I do everything inside out, so I got to do everything backwards.
Each boat has its own design. A very intricate method is used. Normally, it's done with very precise measurements, but in this case, Jeff has been doing it for a very long time and is one of the only people who can do it freehand. When the design has been taped off, the gel coat is applied. This is the actual outside surface of the boat. To give it some rigidity, a coat of fiberglass called the skin coat is sprayed on afterwards.
The skin coat on this boat is put on with isophthalic resin. That guards against blistering, and we embed that right into the gel coat.
For extra strength along the keel, a strip of Kevlar is applied.
And the idea of putting it down the keel is, if you are going to impale something in the water, chances are it's going to be down the keel.
The fiberglass is applied using a chopper gun. A bundle of glass fibers is drawn into the gun by a rubber roller. A set of blades cuts the fibers into inch-long pieces and sprays them with a special resin onto the mold. The resin makes the fibers of the glass stick together and hardens it all into a solid object. Next, a layer of tightly woven fabric is laid onto the hull for extra strength and to hold the hull of the boat together. Chop is sprayed on over the fabric, and then workers smooth the layers to press the fibers down. Once the whole hull has its layers of fiberglass, it's left to cure for 24 hours. Then the hull is ready for the stringer, another piece that's like the skeleton of the boat.
Stringer is the longitudinal that runs down the length of the hull to give it some stiffness, and the bulkheads that run across the beam of the boat.
The stringer also holds any of the interior workings of the boat, like fuel tanks or inboard engines. It is secured with a chemical adhesive called methylmethalazine.
It's kind of like welding fiberglass. It's a glue which we apply to one surface and we push down the next part into the surface. And it'll soften the fiberglass and resin together and just kind of melt everything together.
After the stringer is secure, the hull can be removed from its mold.
This is a quality control check. We're checking for air voids, make sure there's no flaws in our lamination process.
Once the hull passes inspection, it goes to the assembly department. This is where the hull and the deck come together to form a complete boat.
the deck that we have here is upside down. Every one of our models goes through the same stage. We have our wiring harness that is installed.
The wires are for the stereo system, the lights, and the dashboard. The deck is lifted and flipped with pulleys, and the hull is moved under it. The Alante 505 has an outboard motor, which will go here on the transom, so there has to be a strong bond between the deck and the hull to support it.
20 years ago, we used nothing but rivets to bond the deck to the hull. The problem with that is the water would actually get into the boat. So now we use a product called methacrylate, and what that does is it does seal the gap between the deck and the hull, bonds it so it's a strong, tight finish, and also will not allow water to penetrate through and seep into the boat.
The next step is the upholstery, which is manufactured right on site at Campion. Once finished, it's added to the boats by hand. After all the parts are attached to the boat, it's ready to be shipped off to happy boaters anywhere.
Boating is just absolutely wonderful because what do? You do it with your family and your friends. So you're out there just to have a good time.
And having a good time on the weekends is what we all live for. Thanks to the latest technological advances in manufacturing, our weekends are that much more fun.